Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rouge Rugby podcast, the podcast focusing on real Canadian rugby. I'm Stu Hardy, joined as always by Derek Bassett. And Derek, we've had the return of international rugby to our screens. What did you make of this weekend?
Well, apparently the Northern Hemisphere is garbage. Just terrible.
I don't know. If I had to localize it, I'd say to Europe specifically. Because there's definitely one country in the Northern Hemisphere that did all right this weekend. But I mean, there were some games from these strange places, apparently called like South Africa. and New Zealand.
South Africa is technically part of Europe now, based on the rugby globe, though. So, are they Northern?
No, they become part of Europe from September. That's how it works.
September on, yeah.
So
I saw the rugby union Reddit had that guy that drew a map of the equator based on what we think, why we always talk about like North and Southern Hemisphere, and it's like basically looks like a heartbeat or something. So that was wild. So obviously a lot of very entertaining games, lots of interesting outcomes. I feel like all my Welsh friends are sad. Do you count yourself among them right now?
I'm disappointed but not surprised because, as you know, I am Welsh. Yeah, it's a Welsh way. I went into this game thinking we are going to lose this, and shock of shocks, they lost it. I've been here before. I'm not getting burnt again. I'm just waiting for the disappointment to come, as all Welsh people should expect.
Yeah, that's just I think that's just the nature of your culture at this point. It was also Canada Day this past weekend. Did you get up to any fun Canada Day festivities?
I got to spend the day with friends in Trillium Park in
that's nice.
Toronto. So that was really nice, and managed to listen to some of the Backstreet Boys concert that was going on at the Budweiser stage.
Budweiser. Yeah, just walking on the outside of it.
Yeah, just able to catch like some songs and then just listening to be like, hang on, do I know this song, or is this a new song that they're using to promote their latest album that I don't care about?
Hold on, the Backstreet Boys have a new album?
I don't know, but apparently they're doing this tour. So
there's no way they're still making stuff, are they?
I don't know.
Like they're just
I didn't go to the concert. I said I just heard stuff from the concert.
Fair enough.
Anyway. What about you? What do you get up to, Derek?
We didn't really do much, especially not much in line of like traditional Canada Day celebration things. Honestly, it's like I feel like after the move, we just kind of took the day to go chill. Pretty much just an extra day of a little bit of relaxation, which was nice. Went to a movie though. Ended up seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ooh, that is a good film,
dude. It's amazing. Yeah, we saw it in theaters because it's apparently still in like 2 theaters in Toronto. So we decided to venture out to go see that while it was still in theaters, even though I totally know it's on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix for right now. Either way, totally recommend watching it. It is an absolutely wild, like multiverse travel movie, and probably did like the multiverse thing a lot better than like Doctor Strange or something did. I felt like with 2 big multiverse movies kind of coming out around the same time, I feel like Everything Everywhere All at Once seemed to kind of nail it. Had everything, man. It had some fun jokes, some killer action scenes.
It also had everywhere.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
At once,
it had
all at the same time. Yeah.
It was everywhere. It had everything in it. It was thrown at you all at once. One of the most, let's go with, I guess you've seen the movie based on the way you responded to that. So I guess one of the most, let's call it creative fight scenes in cinema history.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but, we won't spoil it for our fans in a
highly recommend everybody go see it.
Definitely.
It was amazing.
Absolutely. And something I would highly recommend watching again is the Canada versus Belgium match that took place this Saturday in Halifax. Now, Canada had played Belgium before, but this is the first time Belgium actually has come to Canada. It's actually Belgium's first trip abroad outside of a tournament since 2013. So that's like 9 years of them only going overseas for like tournament or tournament-based competitions. According to America's Rugby News, it's the case as well.
That's a very reliable source, but I did not know that.
I know. Wow,
that's crazy. I should have read that article, I guess.
Yeah. So hopefully you were able, and by you I mean the people listening. Of course, I know, Derek, you were watching the game as well, but for those that were unable to, for whatever reason, the hangover after Canada Day hit a bit too hard. So here's a brief synopsis of what went down. So started off with the game kicking off, and then the first scoring opportunity happened within the first 6 minutes. As scrum half Jason Higgins spotted an opening on the blind side, went over, scored a try. As he's done, multiple times for San Diego this season, followed up by Peter Nelson hitting the first of his conversions of the day. And then about 10 minutes later, Canada were able to get a penalty, which Nelson was also able to slice. However, this also showed the negatives of what has been going on. I think like the first 20 minutes worked well for Canada, and then the second 20 minutes just nothing seemed to string together. Yeah. So there was Cooper Coates had an amazing run through the Belgian defense up the pitch and got to, I'd say, about 20 meters out, was able to offload to Higgins, but no one else was there. And then any support that did come through, there's like a chip ahead, but then that was knocked on. It was knocked on by Belgium. So the ball was knocked on by Belgium within the try zone, which resulted in a scrum 5 for Canada, but they were unable to capitalize off that. It was actually a turnover to Belgium at that point. And then lots of opportunities just didn't string together. So there were lots of instances where it was just like the one pass needed to off to a player to score a try that was knocked on, or it was a forward pass. And so it got pretty stagnant in terms of scoring opportunities in the first half. And then came the only card of the game, which was Ben Lesage, who had been caught in a ruck. And as he was removing his foot, he then stamped it on the back of a Belgian player. And, full credit to referees Davidson and the TMO, Austin Reed, who called it back, identified it, and gave Ben Lesage yellow card. That was clearly the right thing to do, because that was just very foolish thing. It did result in a penalty for Belgium, but they were unable to get the ball between the sticks. So that resulted in Belgium being scoreless for the first half. And so going to halftime and it's 10-0. And, they're doing okay, obviously leading by more than a score, but clearly obvious that this could have been more. However, second half is when the floodgates truly open. And as soon as Rumble gets over for his try in the 47th minute, we then get tries flowing as soon as possible. So Lesage, after getting back onto the pitch after his yellow card, was able to make it up by scoring a try himself. And that was caused by Ross Brody spotting a gap in the defense, running through, offloading to Lesage to score the try. Wonderful to see. It was also a good day for Cooper Coates, who, plays his club games for Halifax Tars and was basically the hometown hero, able to score just before the hour mark to get the fourth try of the game. By the way, Peter Nelson, 100% kicking record in this game, got all the conversions and that additional penalty. Then Michael Smith got over for his try and Canada's fifth in the 66th minute. And by this point, Nelson had come off. So Coates stepped up to the kicking duties and he was able to be fully accurate with this kick. And finally, Kainoa Lloyd was able to get Canada's final try of the game and 6 overall in the 70th minute, again with Coates getting that conversion. To leave the final score of the game, Canada 45, Belgium 0. And the real winners of this game, I have to say, are probably San Diego Legion, seeing as all the Canadian players from their team that was taking part all scored tries. So great investment, San Diego, clearly paying dividends on the national team duty. So yeah, this was obviously something that Kingsley Jones had talked about, of playing teams where the idea is Canada can get a victory. I don't want to say easy victory, but Canada is ranked above Belgium by, I think, like 5 places. So, and the last time they played, Canada also won comfortably as well. So the idea of accumulating victories, getting that winning sensation going, this played well. 45-0, you know, nothing to stick your nose at, but probably could have been higher still. What do you think, Derek?
Well, first of all, I think we have to revisit that point that Kingsley Jones made about playing teams that are more, I guess, on Canada's level when we conclude our discussion about this game and get on to the next test match that got, or maybe not test match, I guess technically wouldn't be a test match, that got announced that Canada's going to play in. And
we'll talk about that in a moment, but let's focus on the here and now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll hold the game for a minute. But yeah, I think the only thing only thing I really think I disagreed with you on your little wrap up there was I don't really think Lesage's yellow was that bad. I think he was just trying to get his foot out, and then it got caught, and it is what it is. It's definitely a yellow card, but if you feel like you're intentionally stomping on somebody, though, that's a straight red. So it's like there is that. I don't really think that was a malicious-ish play. I'm just kind of,
To clarify on my end, as in the yellow card was accurate. I don't think. Ben Lesage thought, a Belgian player's kidneys, and just went for it.
Yeah, it deserves a yellow. But it is, it is what it is. I thought Lesage played unreal for the rest of the game too. Obviously scoring a try, but also had some unreal hits on defense. Kind of showing why he's pretty consistently one of, if not the best back on in any Canada national team game. I think, the game itself kind of strange, I guess. There's things that I love that I saw what happened out on the pitch, and there's things that I didn't like. Like as you kind of mentioned, score like 45-0. So obviously not much to complain about. First of all, defense was great. I don't think, did Belgium even get inside the 22? Like genuinely? Can you
think of one? I think they had maybe like 1 or 2 lineouts in Canada's 50, but not in the 22.
Yeah, like I was like, I don't even remember. I mean, I know in the first half they had some decent like flowing runs, but none of them were in an overly dangerous part of the field. Right. And I think there was a couple of times too where it looked like a Belgian player was about to get sent through a gap in the line, but then a Canadian player was usually able to slide over really quickly and cover that gap. So, maybe resulting in, a small line break of like 5 to 10 meters as opposed to like a 30 to 40 meter line break or something. So like the small breaks that kind of occurred ended up being covered. So it's like I did like the defensive that defensive point of view of the game. And obviously, I mean, there's a bagel on the scoreboard at the end of it, right? So I mean, it's tough to what are you going to complain about from the defensive side of the game, anyways. Set piece was good, at least a lot better than Belgium's. As you kind of mentioned, though, I think the big glaring thing I think was in the first half was just, which is I think the contributing factor to the idea of like what you just said, where it's like it's 45-0, but it also felt like it could have been higher. The first half, I think I tweeted out at the end of the first half that it's like Canada's clearly the better team in this game during the opening half, but it's also like they can't be happy with the amount of try scoring opportunities that they've just let go astray. There was obviously, as you mentioned too, there's a couple botched lineouts. There was that one play that was Canada had the 5-meter scrum and looks like they're winning the scrum, like as in they're going forward, right? And it's like the ball's coming backwards, but somehow the Belgian flanker is the guy that ends up with the ball, right?
Yeah.
And they turn it over. Even though the scrum looked like it was going forward. So I'm not sure how exactly the ball got loose and then the Belgian player was able to pounce on it first. So good awareness from him, but it's like that was a disappointing moment of the game too. And then obviously you mentioned like a couple other situations where it was just like, I think Coates had a nice play. Nawadi had a nice run too. Where it was either like, an extra pass or an ill-timed offload or just a straight up drop. And, basic handling error that ended up with the try, ended up seeing like a try scoring opportunity turning into, a knock on or a penalty or some sort of turnover back to Belgium. And even like the scrum, even with the scrum dominance and stuff too, it's like the arrows were off, or the arrows. Canada was often able to get it back. But Canada was often able to just get the ball back, but it was also like this didn't make the opportunities capitalize in the opening half that I think they would have liked to. The great thing about that criticism, however, is my goodness, did it work out well in the second half? So, obviously, 5 of their 6 tries all came in the second half. And I think the thing that I really liked about watching the second half, a couple things, I guess. One of the things that we talked about last week, where we were, when I was saying it's like, the score line's isn't really a concern to me, no matter what it ends up being, right? As long as it's like you can see some things that are like, signs of like progression, signs of growth, signs of like, positive things to come, and just the idea of like try something new. So you had a couple plays here that I think kind of highlighted it. Was kind of tough to tell on the broadcast, but Jamie McKenzie doing a killer job of the color commentary, kind of pointing it out, even with the camera kind of zoomed in, perhaps a little too much. But, saying like off that scrum, off a scrum kind of in like the middle of the pitch, having Brock Webster come in, line up at fly half, had Nelson a little bit further back. And then Brody able to, kind of exploit a massive gap and then a nice pass to Lesage to finish off the try. So it's kind of like a little bit of a different attacking formation, right? That led to a try really quickly from like basically the middle of the field too. So that was nice to see. They tried that play again later in the game too. Right. Same thing. I think Graydon Bowd was in the game at this point in time. So a little bit of different personnel. They tried that play again. I think that one ended in a knock on somewhere along the line though, in one of the passes. Same with like the line out play that ended up, that they used on Rumball's try. Right. They had some backs really in the, in the mix at the line out. Nice big run from Nawadi. Right. And then Rumball kind of following that up, scoring that try. They did that again, similar play later in the game. The Belgian forwards were a little bit more up to the task the second time. So I wouldn't have been Rumball at that point in the game. Probably Smith, I guess, that would have got that next carry. But Belgium a little bit more up to the task this time. But then Brody just goes wide, and Cooper Coates ends up scoring in the corner. Right. So it's kind of good use of like, trying out a couple different plays at the set piece, at the platform, and also, kind of showing some different options from them. Obviously on the Lesage try, Brody chose the option to keep it because he saw a huge gap, right? Later in the game, it goes, they pass it down the line a little bit more. Even if it didn't work out as well the next time, it's nice to see guys working options. And then same with that little line out play too, right? It's like, okay, like if if the next runner gets stopped, it's like we can go wide and we can exploit that and have those options there. So like those were kind of the things that, you know, that it was nice to see. It was nice to also see, like you kind of said, Belgium is a team that Canada should beat. Whether they should beat them 45-0, who knows? But like that's a team that they should beat, and it's nice to see them show up and deliver a solid performance. You know, and get a win against get a nice big win against a confidence building win against a team that you should beat, right? So that's good. Good, a lot to build upon from Spain. I would like to see going into the game against Spain. I'd like to get your opinion on this too, or your opinion on anything else from the game that you would like to add before this as well. But I think I would like to see a bit of a different lineup for Spain than the lineup in this game. But maybe we can get to that if you've got any other thoughts on the game, and then maybe we can talk a little lineup stuff for next week.
No, I think you've hit on most of the same points that I would have brought up. So lineup changes. So
I think like the lineup that much in this game, to be honest. Like my issue with it, it's not like, you know, I liked seeing some of like the new strategy stuff get implemented, but I think the thing that I kind of mentioned that I think I want to talk about was like, I'm just like, you know, we're Canada being a team that is supposed to be like, we're looking to the future now, right? And like we kind of talked about earlier, like with these games, you have nothing to lose, right? Like if you drop a couple points in the world rankings, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you have nothing to really lose in these games, right? And it's just like this lineup that was put forward. I'm just like, you know, it's as weird as it is, it's like it might be the best lineup as far as like if you want a quality lineup to win a game. It might be, but I'm like, I just don't know. Like, is it the right lineup given the circumstances that Rugby Canada is in right now? Because it's like you have a lot of like veteran guys basically, you know, in this lineup, right? And it was even like going back to that Kingsley Jones video last week where he was kind of mentioning, you know, how these two games can be used to get some guys some test caps, and right, which you know was an excuse that many on Twitter kind of calmly pointed out. It's not really an excuse for the loss against Chile because they had less test caps than you did, anyways. But he likes to bring up the number of test caps. He did it again in an interview with like Neil Davidson later this week too. But it's like he wants to increase guys' caps. He wants to get new competition and stuff. And it's like, for one, in that video, he specifically singles out Jack McRogers, who wasn't in the lineup at all, right? You got like Sears Duru, Il Nicky, Larson Keys, Rumball, you know what I mean? Nelson, Kainoa Lloyd, right? Like you have a lot of guys. There's a lot of like veteran or longtime national team members like in this lineup. And like, I'm just kind of like, especially again, like at fly half, right? It's like, you know, like what would it hurt to start Graydon Bowd at fly half against Spain, or like even Brock Webster? Would that, you know, that's an option too, right? Like switch that around. Like, you know, is it, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, like I'm looking at this too, and I'm like, man, would it hurt to start Liam Murray? Right? Like,
no,
you know what
not.
I mean? Like, like, would it hurt to start Liam Murray, start Jack McRogers? You know what I mean? Like, maybe, you know, maybe even take a guy like Cole Keith and maybe like, all right, let's try him at like loose head or and tight head, and like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, see what your options are for him. Like, you can start Roland maybe. For like, you know, who else, like who's kind of like missing from this lineup too? Like, you know, Donald Carson. Like, do you need to start, you know, Keys, Larson, and then have like, you know, Luke Campbell coming off the bench? right? Or can you do like switch at least one of those guys with like Carson for a little bit younger? As much as even the smaller things too, like as much as I love him and I think he's probably the best forward on the team, it's like, do you need to start Lucas Rumball? Or do you want to like can we give like Oworu or Kalen Botcher, like can we just give them a run? Right? Because it's like how like like that's the thing. It's like I think like you can kind of go through the lineup too. Like why can't Isaac Olsen start over Kainoa Lloyd just to see what you got in Isaac Olsen? You know what Kainoa Lloyd is.
Yeah.
I know Lloyd's super fast and like he can run over people if they come to tackle him. Like we know what Kainoa Lloyd is. Can we let's find out what Isaac Olsen is. Yeah. Right. Because same goes through like you can go through a lot of it. Like I would even it's like like Ben Lesage is going to be on the team. Like, can we start Dawson Fatorik?
Yeah.
Who actually looked really good in the time that he did play, right?
Yeah, he did.
Like, I don't know. It's just like Kingsley Jones is saying that he wants to get some of the guys younger, like, experience and stuff. And I'm like, well, you at the end of the day, like you control the lineup. So, I mean, if you want more younger guys getting game time, like, play them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It feels like a wasted opportunity because obviously coming up this Sunday will be a test against Spain, who are currently still ranked 15th in men's ranking, which is 6 spaces above Canada.
But even that, I still think like play like, I mean, you don't have to go like, don't play like the youngest player at every position, right? You can like spread it out, like mix in some veteran guys to help, obviously. But like, like why not try some of the young, like they're playing test rugby, right? It's like you want to prepare them for test rugby, and it's like, Spain's the next opponent and stuff. Like why not see what you got in some of the younger guys? Like I think it'd be cool to see Jack McRogers get a start, and it's like just let's see how he goes.
Yeah,
right. Like it's like again, you have nothing to lose, right? Like and I don't know. That's just kind of my thought on the lineup, I guess, is I think you could go. I think the lineup could use a little more sprinkling of the younger players and new caps, and even maybe some older guys that haven't quite got the shot at the national team level yet, sprinkled in. And I mean, kind of sprinkled in throughout the lineup, right? And then when the games slowly start to matter a little bit more, we can kind of gradually grow back into which may be this lineup, which is probably, if minus any of the European guys coming over to help, this is probably the best lineup. Minus that and Andrew Cohen, I guess, some of the plethora of injured players are on the list. So
well, we will have to wait and see what the lineup is for that game against Spain in Ottawa this Sunday. But speaking about future games, this announcement came through earlier this week just gone, that Canada will face the All Blacks 15, not the All Blacks, the All Blacks 15 on October the 29th at a venue that is to be confirmed. So this will be outside of the November test window, obviously, because it's in October, not November. But this was announced through the New Zealand Rugby Union website of the All Blacks 15. However, the wording indicates that this will be a home game for Canada. So, will this game take place in Vancouver at BC Place, or because Canada will be playing games in November in Europe for the benefit of the Canadian players, what is the likelihood that this game will be in BMO Field in Toronto?
I mean,
because not only because yes, it's the All Blacks 15, but it's still the All Blacks. And that branding is big.
No, that branding's big. I think I would have to give me a second to actually double check this. Hold
And obviously, from a geographical point of view, I'm sure the All Blacks 15 would much prefer to play on a time zone that is easier to adjust to their bodies, which would be something more in Vancouver. But, if the hosts get to determine, then again, they could just say, oh, you know what, we'll go to St. John's. Why not? We're the hosts. We can say where we want to go. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that'd be fun. Like, I mean, I know there's been a lot of it seems like every time Canada announces a test match, there's comments of like, why isn't it in Toronto? Selfishly, I'd love them to play in Toronto because that's where I'm from and that's easy for me to get to. I have no issue with the Canadian national team playing all over the country, though. I think it's a thing that the Canadian national team probably needs to do, in all honesty, to help kind of grow the brand. Like, I still don't think the men's national team, because there's that game against the French Barbarians that got canceled for COVID. And it's like, I still don't think like the men's national team has played a game in Montreal, which is like the second biggest city in the country, right? So it's like, I think there's, no matter where they play, it's like there's reason to kind of go out and try to build that national team brand across the country. However, back to our original thesis here of you were kind of saying that it's like, it's not the full powered All Blacks, not going to be Odin Barrett, not going to be Richie Mwanga, Sam Whitelock, coming over here. It's not going to be those guys coming over, but the All Blacks name is a lot. It still means a lot. All Blacks 15. For example, too, man, I wanted to pull it up just to make sure I was right. But the two highest attended rugby games in Canada that involve the Canadian national team, according to Wikipedia, anyways, is
according to what?
According to Wikipedia.
That how you pronounce it?
Wikipedia? How do you pronounce Wikipedia?
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia? I don't know. I think, well, you know what? We'll put up a poll on Twitter to see who pronounces that properly, but I've been saying Wikipedia for my entire life, so I'm gonna go with that. Anyways, the two highest attending games. So we have one on November 3rd, 2017 at BC Place versus the Maori All Blacks. And the second highest attending game is November 3rd, weirdly enough, 2013 at BMO Field against the Maori All Blacks. Right, which is one of those things where it's like, even if it's not the best All Blacks team and all the All Blacks can put forward, the All Blacks is a brand that can sell at BC Place or BMO Field. Right, like it's just Belgium makes sense to play in a 4,000 seat stadium in Halifax. That makes sense for Belgium. The All Blacks, All Blacks 15, Maori All Blacks, any team that you can put the word All Blacks in is still capable. It's the biggest brand in the sport, and I think that is capable of selling. Maybe not selling out, but selling a good number of tickets to a game either in Vancouver or in Toronto, and that's the opponent that might be the justification for Rugby Canada to go look at, hosting a game in one of those major venues. So I think that'd be cool. Cause I mean, obviously the All Blacks brand is massive. When I saw this announcement, I was really excited. I got one criticism of it though, Stu.
Is it the hypocrisy of saying you want to play easier victory team? And you know what, I 100% agree. I understand where that is coming from of, how can you play teams there you want to collect victories and then play what is essentially the All Blacks second team?
That's what I mean though, is like literally like a week ago Kingsley Jones had the video talking about and he was highlighting it's like we've had some tough matches in the last 10 or 11 that they've played. Because,
and one of the games he mentions is against the All Blacks.
The All Blacks, and it's like, but that's what he mentions, right? Because and to be honest, I think it's fair for him to mention games in 2019 because as crazy as that is because of COVID,
of their last 10 games, those are some of them.
2019 is still I guess incredibly recent if you want to go to your last 10, your last 15, however that works out. But yeah, but at the end of the day, though, like this just like, and again, I know it's the All Blacks 15, so it's going to be the All Blacks second team. Just reeks of a game that you're going to get smashed by 50 again. 50 is probably good. Like, I mean, it's the one thing, and it's like, I know it's the second team, but it's like, dude, the Maori All Blacks are like what, a week removed from beating Ireland.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the like, where do you think the Maori All Blacks would rank in the World Rugby World Rankings if they were allowed to actually take part in that sort of thing? Are they top 10? They're top 10. Would they be top 5?
Well, you have to remember that if they would compete, they would also have to compete against New Zealand. So I wouldn't say top 5.
Okay, so
but I can see probably top 10, definitely top 12.
They did like you mentioned that they would have to play New Zealand, which would be fair, but like they just beat Ireland. What's Ireland ranked right now? Like 4th.
4th.
Yeah.
However, I would say the thing with like that game is that Ireland also weren't doing their first 15 as well, because a few days later they were playing the All Blacks proper.
Yeah.
And so they needed to preserve their first 15. So it's kind of a mixed understanding.
Like, where's this All Blacks 15? Like, where would they be in world rankings? They're still like ahead of a lot of tier 2 nations. They're ahead of every tier 2 nation.
Yeah, it's definitely top 10, probably even top 8.
But like New Zealand's just that good, right? So it's like even if it's the All Blacks 15, I think it's, and again, I love the idea of Canada playing an All Blacks team, regardless of what it is, because that's probably the one brand in the sport that you could be like, you at this point in time for Rugby Canada, that you could probably justify a big stadium like BC or BMO Field.
Yeah.
Maybe a team like Ireland in Toronto might do well. But
actually, Ireland did play Canada in 2013 at BMO Field.
Yeah, so that's the 3rd highest game. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like that game against Leinster seemed, if I recall correctly, it seemed like it had some pretty decent attendance. I don't remember exactly what that attendance was, but it felt really well attended when I was there in Hamilton. But again, that's the other thing, right? Like Leinster beat Team Canada, like a full powered, proper, preparing for a World Cup Team Canada. And so it seems like it goes, as much as I love the idea of them playing the All Blacks, it does seem like it goes against a lot of what Kingsley Jones was saying in his video last week.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, as in all intents and purposes, he does want to get Canada to be playing these games that against like equally to lower ranked opposition, to get the guys a bit more confidence and get that boost. But obviously the All Blacks as a brand is a very profitable brand as well. And when you come to figure that, especially over the last 2 years where we haven't even had any Canadian games in Canada, so for example, the game against England that was then at Twickenham, that was originally scheduled to be played in Toronto. We found out after the fact. So that's the thing. You can say, oh yeah, we all knew that Canada weren't going to beat England, but the idea was that the ticket revenue generated would help Rugby Canada, and I think that's what they're doing at this.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. You play teams like Belgium and Spain, and teams that are kind of like even like Chile, Chile, Uruguay, teams that are all kind of even if they've beaten you and have either have qualified or on the road to qualifying for the World Cup. But it's like, I would still want to play a team like Uruguay. But like, it's, you can play like these, Spain, Belgium, Chile, Portugal, Brazil, type teams to like, develop your players and like build the lineup and start kind of, growing the team, the skills on the field, for the future, right? You play the All Blacks to make money.
Yeah.
Right. Both of them, by the way, are perfectly valid things to do.
Yeah.
I don't, so I just think it's funny that Kingsley Jones put out a video that was talking about how great it is to be playing teams on their own, on like their level, as opposed to like the teams like England, Wales, that they've recently played. Right. And then to not even a week later, the next match that's announced is the All Blacks.
Yeah.
15. All Blacks 15.
Yeah.
But still, so that'll be a tough game. But damn, that'll be fun. I hope I hope it's in Toronto. That would be cool.
That would be
cool. It is. I hope
but we will see. Obviously, it's still TBC.
That might be worth the trip though, no matter where that is in Canada.
Exactly. Well, to see the All Blacks, absolutely.
I've only ever seen a haka once. I was at that Maori All Blacks game at BMO. It's the only haka I've ever seen live. It's awesome.
Well, let's hope you can see the All Blacks 15 haka if it comes to Toronto.
Yeah, I guess would they do a haka? I guess they probably would.
Yeah, they would.
Yes, they would do a different one, wouldn't they?
So we go from national duty back to national roles, because now that the MLR season has ended, it is time for award season. And this we did something like this last year, where we gave awards to the players that we consider had done the best, both for the Arrows and for other teams across MLR. So what we're going to do now, we're going to break the awards up into two sections. So the first set of awards we're going to do are exclusively for Arrows players, and the second set we're going to do is for the rest of MLR. So those awards will have no Arrows players mentioned in them, because we're going to do these first four awards will be entirely for the Arrows. The Arrows themselves actually did have some internal awards, so we'll just go over those quickly. So the Arrows, they've awarded the Forward of the Year to Isaac Salmon. For their Back of the Year, they have awarded that to Ross Brody. Now, they also had a Club Man of the Year award, and that was awarded to James O'Neill. And finally, they had the Players Player Award, which is the award that is voted on by other players. Gave it to Foley. And now we're going to do something similar. So we're going to keep Forward of the Year. We're going to keep Back of the Year. Club Man of the Year, unfortunately, that was decided by the coaching staff, and we're not coaches. So we're going to replace that with Newcomer of the Year. So this would be awarded to a player that is playing for the Arrows for the first time in the 2022 season. And then instead of Players Player, we are going with MVP of the Year. So let's start with Forward of the Year. Derek, who is your nominee?
Forward of the Year, I went with Lucas Rumball. Just another outstanding year from him. As I kind of mentioned earlier when we were talking about Canada, he continues to be one of the best players for the Arrows, the Canadian national team, and just one of the best players from Canada, period, around the world. So, he was top 10 again in tackles this year. He was, led the team again in breakdown steals, which he continues to be just an absolute monster at. It's kind of, a small Arrows Twitter joke of water's wet, sky's blue, grass is green. Lucas Rumball had a breakdown steal, or death tax. Yeah. Lucas Rumball steals. And just another phenomenal year from him, man. And obviously, him being in that leadership group too, as one of the vice captains, also kind of boosts it, and adds it for some intangible things as well. So
the approach I've taken is that because when you have players like Rumble, who are towards the top of the mountain, and if you say, okay, the top of the mountain last year, the top of the mountain this year, it's like, well, they've just stayed the same. They can't really go, and when you're at the top, you can't really go much further. So this is also looking at guys that have stepped up. So they've been climbing the mountain. They've been reaching that top step as well. So my choice for Forward of the Year is Jack McRogers. he's had a very impressive season with the Arrows. He's been picked up by the Canadian national team. He may even earn his first cap against Spain this coming weekend, fingers crossed and all that stuff. But he's been able to do that because of his improvement this year. And, obviously us Arrows fans know how good he is, but now he's proving to, the national team, he's proving to everyone else in MLR just how good he is, how valuable of an asset he is. So that's why I've got my forward of the year as Jack McRogers.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice too. He had an outstanding year, led the team in tries. That's a
team's top try scorer for the year.
Yeah.
All right, so we've done forward of the year. Now let's go on to back of the year. And again, this is so for my choice, I've gone with Mitch Vorolek.
Yeah, I was going to say, and again, when I saw you type this in, I'm like, I cannot wait for you to explain this one.
So again, I'm going along in the same mindset of, you can't just stay at the top of the mountain. I need to see how some guys have moved up, because I've seen your pick, and it's the obvious pick.
It's the correct one. Yes.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing.
Or maybe not, because the Arrows didn't pick him, so maybe it's not the
correct. Yeah. So but Ross Brody, we know he's amazing. Giuseppe Toy, he's been fantastic, taking up captain duties when Shepard and Rumble and Malcolm weren't available. And we could go through the revolving door of scrum halves that we've had this year, of how they've been able to step up and then sit on the bench for however long it's needed to be. And we've had some great centers like Weta Tafuga. Matt Hood has come in and has been fantastic. But with Mitch Vorolek, I think it's because when he was signed, there was such little fanfare over him, especially when you say we're bringing Robinson Bartlett, we've got Brock Webster coming, we've got Hood, we've got Tafuga coming, and you're dead excited for that. So Mitch Vorolek, you're like, he'll be around. He'll be there. But whenever I saw him play, and whenever he was called up for duty, he just had a fantastic games. He had man of the match performances at times. And, he obviously could have been playing more games. He could have had more game time. But from what he's shown this year, it's taken me by surprise, I'll be honest. I mean, and I think that's why I've picked him as my back of the year, because, I didn't, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I didn't rate him highly when he was originally signed. But as a result, from what I've seen, he's, proven me wrong. He's outperformed himself. And that's why, in my opinion, he's the back of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if we're taking back of the year to mean the best back on the team, then I would disagree. But I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain about showing Mitch Vorolek some love. He did have a great season. His first game, that game against NOLA, was pretty unreal. Or not that. I don't think that was not his first game, but that was one of his. His first start. I believe.
Yeah.
With that game against NOLA, so that was an unreal performance from him during this year. And I'm not going to complain about showing Mitch Vorolek some love. But the back of the year is Sam Malcolm. You just made fun of me for picking some obvious ones. I mean, Ross Brody from the Arrows choice for back of the year. Obviously, he was phenomenal too, all year. But I think in a year where the Arrows were decimated by injuries, Malcolm was one of the few remarkably healthy backs throughout the course.
But he was so healthy, he actually moved 2 scrum half in a game.
Yeah, exactly.
To cover it off.
He battled through some, certainly battled through at certain points in the season. Just the ultimate complete rugby player. It's he's fourth in the league in points. His kicking accuracy is second to none in MLR. His ball distribution's unreal. Everything that he does tactically as a fly half works. we've talked about it numerous times, but like, listening to other MLR media and stuff, sometimes I don't think people realize how good defensively Sam Malcolm is.
Oh yeah,
as Dan Moore said a while ago, right? Just the absolute heart of a lion. And he shows it every game on the pitch. So I would so Sam Malcolm's my back of the year. And I mean, I know you're going to make fun of me for the obvious choice of Lucas Rumball and Sam Malcolm here, but I respect your decision to show some love to maybe some of the little more unsung guys on the team, though.
All right, no, that's fine. That's fine. I get it. As in, like, in terms of stats, in terms of
I like this. It would be
figures,
boring if we both had the same.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Everyone was the same.
Yeah.
Then what's the point in the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, now so we come to our award with newcomer of the year. So this is, as we said, a player who is playing for the Arrows for the first time in 2022. Derek, talk about your pick.
Yeah, so I think looking at the name that you have written there, I think, and also for looking down the script for the MLR part of this as well, I think we're taking a little bit of a different approach to the word newcomer. I'm treating it more like a rookie. You're treating it more like guys' first year here. So I'm going with James O'Neill, who was a part of the Ben Lesage trade, and came in and I thought played outstanding during the course of his year, his first professional year in Major League Rugby. Excellent at the breakdown, scored a couple nice tries as well. Scored one really nice try that didn't count, that should have counted, but we'll let that one slide. We're not bitter about that still.
Nope, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I was happy to see him get one later in the year, though. And just he's a good ball carrier. He's an excellent tackler, great in the breakdown. And I think really excited to see that he seems to be one of those guys that is adding to the wealth that Rugby Canada has at flanker. He's one of those guys that I would really like to see get a shot at the national team someday. Right. And like I said, I kind of know it's tough based on the flankers that are part of the national team, even like currently. But I think he had a brilliant year. Unfortunate he had to end it. It ended with a suspension, but beyond that, though, I thought every game that he played, whether it was starting or coming off the bench, I thought he was excellent in most of the games that he did play and made an impact. And I guess him getting that Club Man of the Year award too kind of shows what an asset he is in the locker room. So I'll give him a couple bonus points for that one too. So James O'Neill.
Okay, and my pick for newcomer of the year is another forward. And had definitely had an impact off the bench multiple times. Able to get a few tries under his belt as well. I think he got 3 tries in 2 games, which isn't bad for a prop. And yes, so I'm saying newcomer as in new to the Arrows in this case, but has some game experience. Fair enough. And so my pick is Lalani Faleva, and just great to see him make breaks in games and just like blitz away and get the crowd was just cheering him on, and it was just fantastic to watch, because who doesn't love a front row player making a break and getting through? So yes, and proved himself a valuable asset to the team. So that's my choice for newcomer of the year. And finally, for the Arrows Awards, we have MVP of the year. Now, so I've used the analogy of, climbing the mountain and being like low on the mountain to like top of the mountain. But this guy is so high up the mountain. Not only is he on the peak, he's planted his flag. He's made his case. There is no question. There is no deviation. And because I've already seen your entry, I know you agree with me on this.
Yeah.
But that man, top of the mountain, is Ronan Foley.
I was going to say, apparently the rest of the Arrows players also agree with this one too. So,
I mean, what could we say that could possibly like detract?
Yeah,
he's just had a phenomenal season. Even
I feel like, yeah, no, I feel like every time we looked, because the Arrows put out their match reports after, and I feel like every time it's like they have the little stat leader thing, and I feel like every game was just like carries Foley, tackles Foley, meters Foley. If he wasn't one of the leaders in the categories, he scored a try. Just a phenomenal year. He seemed like it seemed like everything that he could possibly do on the pitch this year went well. And it was just he had just an absolutely unreal and excellent year. And some of the tries he scored were great. Some of them were hilarious too, like that one against DC off the restart. We just kind of ran forward and ball somehow. That was a wild try. Just a phenomenal year from him, man. And I think it's as indicated by our unanimous choice, and also apparently what the players on the Arrows themselves thought. It's seems like the unanimous decision for Ronan Foley to be the Toronto Arrows MVP this year.
Okay, so those are the Arrows awards, and now we're going to do the rest of them MLR, aka everyone but the Arrows awards. So we're
because the Arrows would obviously win all of these.
Yeah, of course. It's only fair. This is why we're doing it. We're mixing
Ronan Foley was the MVP of Major League Rugby this year as well.
Yeah,
but it would be boring if we did that. So.
Yeah. So now for these awards, we're mixing it up a little bit. So we still have Forward of the Year, Back of the Year, Newcomer, MVP, but we're also having 3 new awards. So we got Canadian of the East. So this is the best Canadian that we feel in the Eastern Conference, Canadian of the West, same thing, but for the Western Conference, and also Team of the Year as well. So quickly, let's go through this. Okay, Forward of the Year. Derek, who's your pick?
I'm not going to lie. I picked this to maximize the amount of Canadians that I could put on my award list. So I went with Josh Larson from the New England Free Jacks, among the league leaders in tackles, just a general nuisance to any team that happened to venture to New England during this season. Excellent at the breakdown line. Like, he does everything properly, exactly how you would want it done. Super physical player. Was one of the best tacklers on the best tackling team in the league, and just absolutely all around phenomenal year for him. Not a whole lot else to say. I mean, plus like, I like those little bonus intangible things too. And he's the captain of the best team throughout the regular season anyways as well. So that's a little nice bonus for him.
My pick is the Butcher from New York, Dylan Fawcett. Another consistently great season, adding to his try total of. So I think he's still like the highest try scorer for not only Rugby New York, but for MLR as a whole. And obviously New York's home record this year hasn't been that great, but the consistency, the ferocity that he puts in, it's remarkable, and that's why he's my Forward of the Year. Now, Back of the Year. I got to go with Lepetti on this one. I think he's had a phenomenal year, an absolute danger to every team that he's played against. And yeah, it's just something, and I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully, seeing Lepetti again next year as well. I mean, as a neutral, great to watch. A phenomenal player, great addition. Yeah, so Lepetti's my choice.
Yeah, I'll circle back to that one in a moment. My Back of the Year, I went with Billy Meeks, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do. Are we allowed to show love to LA and Austin right now?
Yeah, we can.
I'm going with Billy Meeks. I mean, league leader carries, league leader meters, just absolute monster, on both sides of the ball for LA. That combination that LA had in the centers with Meeks and Lesage is just, regardless of what side of the ball you were on, it's deadly. Like Meeks, he's one of those players that can run through you, but also if you try to run at him, man, like that tackle's being put on, it's put on hard. And he might even contest that breakdown and get a turnover for you too. So just honestly, I was kind of debating him, Lesage are kind of in that kind of similar ballpark, but I guess as the year kind of went on, I guess Meeks had some better stats that kind of push him over the edge too. And there's a couple other like phenomenal backs during this year. As far as your pick though of Lepetti, that's who I actually went with my newcomer of the year slash the one I treat as the rookie of the year. So he was the third overall pick, went to Seattle, and got a cap with the USA even before playing an MLR game, and then during the course of the MLR just kind of proved why he earned that cap, and he started against the French Barbarians this past weekend as well. As you kind of mentioned, man, just a phenomenal center. What a treat to watch this year. And from as the league is kind of growing, and we're kind of starting to see what these draft picks are going to be capable of doing in their first seasons of MLR. I think Lepetti just kind of set the bar for what the future draft classes are going to have to live up to now. So that is my pick. So I'll circle that back to that one. Yeah, man. If you want to take him as back of the year, though, I mean, all the power to you, because he was killer this year.
Yeah. So again, I've gone for newcomer of the year as a newcomer to MLR. So for that reason, I've picked Jason Emery. Another great addition for New York. Even during the postseason and the championship series, took up kicking duties, which I didn't see coming at the time, but obviously. Very accurate with the boot. So, had that weapon in his arsenal as well, that he just kept quiet until when it absolutely mattered for New York. So, well done to him. We made the joke of the New Jersey All Blacks, but Emery was definitely one of the players that helped make Rugby New York the MLR champions this year. And it's great to see him. And I obviously don't know if he'll be back again next year at this point. I would like to see him. I wouldn't want the Arrows to go up against him on the field.
As an Arrows fan, I don't want to see him next year.
Yeah, well, that's just me. Yeah. Okay, now we go on to Canadian of the East. So the best Canadian in the Eastern Conference that doesn't play for the Toronto Arrows. Now, my choice, you've already mentioned as the forward of the year, and also because I wanted to be a bit different from your pick, but I've got to say Josh Larson. The Free Jacks have been the team to beat during the regular season. And their leadership, I know they have like a leadership group, but Josh Larson has been captain for the Free Jacks for the last I'd say this year and last year, even though he's not officially rubber stamped as the captain this year. Excellent work. You've already listed all of his accomplishments this year, so I'll just be repeating the same thing. And I just have to so he's my pick for Canadian in the East. So Derek, let the people know your choice.
Well, I completely agree with you. Josh Larson, and the Free Jacks completely dominated the regular season. But when it came to the playoffs, Rugby New York and Andrew Coe, what a performance from Coe in that game. Getting that man of the match performance, which he was, outstanding in. And just throughout the entire year, I think Andrew Coe has proven to be one of, if not the best winger in Major League Rugby this season. He played on a team with guys. It's crazy because it's like he played on a team with Ed Fidel, Waseki Nahalo, Nene Milner, Scudder, all in the back three, all competing for his position as well. And he still managed to stand out, including getting a man of the match performance in a playoff game with all of them in the lineup as well, right? So I think he was phenomenal all year, and definitely enjoyed playing on the wings in New York, as he, him, Fidel, obviously, we're kind of setting the benchmark for the amount of tries being scored across the league. So I think Cole was, just outstanding for the duration of this entire season. As just every line break that he made was class. Every offload he made was class. And just again, had scored some really big tries, made some really big plays in the playoffs. And those are the games that matter the most. And he's a massive reason why Rugby New York got to hoist the shield above their heads at the end of the year. And just looking forward to seeing him in a Canada jersey soon, because definitely need that flair back in the Canadian lineup.
All right, as we move on to Canadian of the West.
Easiest category we have.
Absolutely have. And Derek, would you like to take it away this time?
Yeah, it's Michael Smith, San Diego Legion. And yeah, he got the Legion MVP award from their individual team awards. And just absolutely phenomenal here, among the league leaders in tackles. And, just his work rate is just absolutely off the charts. He's good with ball in hand as well. And, just, I don't know what more we can say about him, man. We got how many weeks was the season? 19, I guess, 20 weeks. We have 20 weeks of podcast gushing about how good Michael Smith played on the weekend. So, in order to save some time here, you can perhaps go back and listen to all of those. Just a phenomenal player. He's one of those guys that really makes me super excited about the future of Canadian rugby right now. Seeing how well he played, and then he follows up the season too. I mean, just what a performance against Belgium from him as well. Scoring that try and just being an absolute monster for 80 minutes. So Michael Smith definitely elevated his game a lot this year. And no disrespect to any of the other Canadian players in the Western Conference, but this was an easy choice, man.
And we now move on to MVP of the year. And again, this has been a unanimous decision by both of us.
Yeah.
But Beaudein Waaka, who it's been announced will not be with the Free Jacks next year, and that is a disappointment.
I was going to say, as an Arrows fan,
from a neutral perspective.
From a neutral perspective,
because that's the thing. If this included the Arrows, then we would be more biased. But
I was going to say, as an Arrows fan, he should be traded to the Western Conference. Enjoy him out there. That's my ideal for him.
Either way, you don't have to worry, because Beaudein Waaka will be playing in Japan next season. But Beaudein Waaka's style of play, led to tries, led to penalties, led to conversions, and his absence is particularly noted. For example, when the Arrows beat New England in the regular season, being the only non-playoff team to do so, Waaka wasn't playing in that game. And the attack style from New England was significantly hindered by his absence. So, I'm sure New England are already scouting out the replacement for Waaka, but and it was good to see him score tries against teams that you needed to lose for the Arrows to do well. So, scoring tries against New York, against Atlanta, again and again, and it's lining up the tee, and just it's gonna, like I said, from a neutral perspective, it's gonna be disappointing not to see Beaudein Waaka in MLR next year, but his impact has been so significant, it can't be anyone else but Beaudein Waaka this year.
It's one of the absolute most electric seasons any player has ever had in this league. So fully deserved in my opinion. And jokes aside, sad to see him go. I could stand to watch a few more years of Beaudein Waaka, but best of luck in Japan, I guess.
Yeah. And finally, we round off with Team of the Year. And so, Derek, do you want to go with what most people say would be the correct choice for this category?
You know what? I went with this because, as fun as it is to do these awards, there's only one Team of the Year award that matters, and that is the Shield. So you're the champ. You are the team of the year. So congrats to Rugby New York.
Okay, so
I don't think I need to explain that one more.
No, no, that's pretty self-explanatory. But for me, I've gone with a different team. So we know that the playoff situation in the West has been with an asterisk over it this year because of the disqualifications of the guild teams. But despite all that, there was one team that was able to make the playoffs on their own merit before any of these disqualifications happened. And this was a team that last year finished 12th out of the 12 teams available. And the season before had finished in like the bottom half. And as every year since their inception has been, one of the scragglers, one of the low teams, one of the teams where, we can play them, we'll guarantee a victory. But last year's off season, new director of rugby, new head coach, nicknamed the Saber Box, but you can't argue with results. And the first game of the season being 13th last year, beating the defending champions. As team of the year, you can say it's a team that won the Shield. But in my opinion, it should also be the team that has improved the most. And no team has improved more than the Houston SaberCats. So they are my team of the year.
You should have a separate award for most improved team of the year.
If we're going to do this, we're just going to give awards to everyone. And then
awards to everything. Yeah.
Canadian of San Diego, Canadian of Los Angeles.
La Rouge Rugby participation ribbons.
Yeah.
To every player in the league.
We're becoming every boomer's nightmare as we continue. Right. Well, good news, ladies and gentlemen, because we have international rugby coming up this weekend. And Canada will host Spain at TD Place in Ottawa. And if you are not in Ottawa and you can't make the game, good news. It was announced today that this fixture will be on TSN1, tsn.ca, and the TSN app, going live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time this Sunday. And we got that on social media. We got that from finding out through our social media channels. In fact, you can find us across all social media channels, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We are at La Rouge Rugby. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you can listen to more on Apple Podcasts, Anchor FM, and Spotify. And if you'd like to see some videos of our podcast, including some other clips, including interviews of players, you can find them on our YouTube channel, again, at La Rouge Rugby. Derek, where can the people find you?
I'm at Brissette the Jet across all social media platforms.
And you can find me across all social media platforms at Hardman, spelled H4RDMAN. Well, Derek, thank you for joining me again as we discuss real Canadian rugby. And thank you all for joining us for the Rouge Rugby podcast. We hope you can join us again next time.